Hi, I'm Zach Waters, and welcome to another episode of WTF-STOP Photo Talk, where I chat to photographers about their life and connection to the world through photography. In 2007, as the renowned photographic lab Grove Hardy prepared to close its doors after nearly 50 years in operation, Martin Reed, owner of the photographic supplier Silverprint, recorded a long-form interview with Sheila Hardy, widow of picture post photographer Bert Hardy. Martin's wife, Janice Reed, was also present and may have contributed briefly to the conversation. Also involved in the discussion was Charles Keeble, Grove Hardy's last printer, who had recently fallen ill and decided to retire, an event that prompted the decision to finally close the lab. Martin Reed had come to know Grove Hardy well. His company, Silverprint, was located just around the corner in Valentine's Place. Over the years, Martin built a strong working relationship with the team, which made the interview all the more personal. Together with Janice, he visited the premises at 2 Boroughmews, Southwark, and sat down with Sheila and Charlie to document the end of an era. Grove Hardy had been the cornerstone of London's photographic scene in the late 1950s. It was founded by Bert Hardy and Gerry Grove. Hardy, already well known for his work with Picture Post, brought creative and documentary insight. Grove, a master printer, brought technical excellence and ambition. The lab quickly earned a reputation serving a generation of working photographers. Sadly, Gerry Grove died suddenly sometime in the 1970s, and Bert Hardy passed away in 1995. Sheila Hardy, who had a career of her own as a photo researcher for Picture Post, continued to manage the aspects of the archive and remained closely involved with Grove Hardy until its closure. Following Charles Keeble's retirement, Sheila decided to shut down the business. Sheila also held the copyright to Bert Hardy's private photographic archive, while the rights to his Picture Post remained with Getty Images. After her death in 2021, the private collection was passed to the Bert Hardy estate. Today, much of Hardy's career material is preserved in the Bert Hardy archive, housed in the Journalism School at Cardiff University. This interview with Sheila Hardy provides rare and personal insight into the final chapter of Grove Hardy, her stewardship of Bert Hardy's legacy, and the quiet conclusion of a place that had been central to British photographic life for decades. I first received this recording in 2024 from photographer Geoff Howard, who had been given it by Martin Reed back in 2008. Although Geoff hadn't been present at the interview, he kept hold of the recording and recently passed it on to me. It's an invaluable document of a time, a place, and the people who shaped a vital part of British photographic history. So it's a different one today. Just felt I needed to put this out there. The quality of the recording wasn't that good. In fact, it was really bad. So I took a lot of time to enhance it. In parts, it's not perfect, but if you listen to the original, you would appreciate this version. I found it really fascinating, and I thought it deserved to be put out there. And thank you to Geoff Howard for giving me the chance to do that. I hope you enjoy it.
I can only remember little bits about the beginning of it. You read that? Did you read the article that they wrote from the Houghton Getty?
The one in Black and White magazine, yeah.
Yes, because that can... I've got, for you, I'm afraid I have to ask you to have it back to read.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll just do a copy of it.
It's very rough. It's a very... deftly, on the spade, all I could lay my hands on it. That's the book. But that'll tell you all Bert's early life, and it'll tell you about the beginning of this as well. We keep that to you.
Yeah, I remember seeing this before. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure you had. It's been out for some years now. But it got all the fakes and everything in there, so it's worth just sort of glancing through it, of seeing.
And he wrote the whole thing himself, did he?
No, he did it in consultation with one of the editors from Gordon Fraser, who published it. And what he did, he's got at home these little tiny pocket diaries. They go back to 1940, so, he's kept them for years. And all he used to do was look at these little diaries, which kept a record of all the jobs he did. And everything, including, for instance...
Well, I didn't realise he'd done this stuff.
Well, that date's in his diary when he went to Belsen. I mean, it was a horrific thing.
That's his next, though, isn't it?
Yes, they are. He kept the names. I mean, he was army photographer, and they should have gone back to war office for some reason. And he kept me. I got them at home, and I mean, no, they're really horrific, really horrific. But he was only there for one day, I think. Not for longer than that, because a whole hordes of photographers.
Well, I've always thought that if Bert was in the army, if the troops had liberated the concentration camp, the army photographer was there first, and they would then invite, when they really wanted to, the other photographers. You know, they just wouldn't let them wander into.
No, they didn't. I mean, George Roger went there as well, but I think he was there after Bert. I think Bert was. I know he writes about a certain incident concerning the guards, who were the German.
Oh, because they give them some dinner.
Yes, the army gave them some food, and he threw the plate at them. And I think they nearly court-martialed him because he's not supposed to do that. Of course, you know, that's ill treatment for prisoners, isn't it?
Yeah.
They were the prisoners, but they didn't. But he got very upset about it. But it's a good read. I mean, if anybody's interested in photography, it's a good read.
Well, that's the one you're telling me about. That was cinched together from lots of small.
I don't know whether they've got the key.
I can see one bit there, but
well, the one you've got to look at is very simply.
The males, right?
He's presenting ours. He's not.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Queen came in, he should have been presenting ours, but he was on the wrong bit of. And he was a bin. They joined up and didn't realise they were all going to present ours.
Of course,
they should all have been presenting.
You could redo it now, and you just wouldn't see the job. Oh, the digital things. I mean, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But I think the thing interesting about that is that I didn't realise till I actually looked at the contact. He changed film halfway through. Now that I think is quite an achievement. It's on 2 different films, that picture.
Yeah. There is a key for that. I mean, I've seen the key with it.
But I think is it after this? Is it next door? There was a key published. Oh, my hands are cold. I can't do it. No, it doesn't hurt. In the magazine, they what they did a reader's letter, you know, as they often do, and they showed the result, and then they showed the picture with all the different joined. I think there was.
It's a key on page 108.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
How many pictures?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You 15.
15. Yeah. But he was only shooting with a 5 centimetre lens, so you're not going to get an awful lot, are you? I mean, not when you reckon it. But he should have had a wide angle. Well, who knows? If he'd had wide angles, he'd have had all the columns going in, wouldn't he? So it wouldn't have helped, really. It wouldn't have helped.
Right. So, yeah. Well, one of the things we asked you the other week was why you're actually here in South London when a lot of the printing activity was going up on
around the corner.
Yeah.
Weather Street.
And also his brother was in.
And his brother.
There was a building.
There was a building firm down the end of the mill. His brother was the foreman.
And he found it. He clocked that was empty. And
he knew the old Indian doctor who lived in the front, who had a surgery there. And he built this for a little firm that used to do window boxes in the city. So, in fact, there were 2 little lorries down here. And he knew that the window boxes were going. I think they'd gone broke, or I don't know what. We bought it from them, I know.
But it was a garage originally.
Yeah, there's still an RSJ in this wall. Yeah. I did want to, but I couldn't do it. I did want to open it up and put a garage in here, but that was before it was decided to make it 2 floors, and I was just going to have it as one occupancy with a garage here.
And also, Martin, really, Fleet Street was still going then, right? And we used to do work for Fleet Street. So it was literally only a bit of bridge.
But don't forget, all that stuff up round Smithfield wasn't there then. That's all happened since.
Yeah, you must have been one of the first labs to actually set up in 1960.
That's why so many professionals came charging round because there wasn't anybody else.
Yeah, another.
Even the before it was out on Dyke, even when it was the Radio Times, we used to do all their printing here because they didn't have any means of doing it. And it wasn't until much later when they set up their own darkroom that...
Yeah, so at the time, any large setup would have had its own darkroom, and you were one of the first independents to get...
Well,
yeah, I mean, you had like Wallace Seaton and all this sort of thing, but then even though, I mean, the Sunday Times was in Gray's Inn Road, the Observer was in Tudor Street, and then moved across. So although they had their own darkrooms, the photographers there, it's not the press stuff we were doing. If they was having an exhibition, let's say Jane Bowen, she'd come over it. And there was at one time, you get phone calls from the father of the chapel. Who are you? We're in the union, mate. Well, I was the token union member, so there was no problem there. So, the sort of thing, there was no problem there. So, like, we would touch their press stuff. That was all down here. They bought boosters, but it's an exhibition or something like that, because that was before they were selling the print. They would come in here, or if it was a private job, if they weren't working for the paper, they were working for somebody else, they would bring their stuff in here. And Don McCullum at one time got so much for the processing at the Sunday Times. They used to send the films over to us from Jane Stanier, and he was Jane Stanier. The gate which caused trouble with the union there, but that was sorted out. So it was at the time they just used to, well, whatever they did, he didn't like to say shit. He didn't like, so
The other thing, of course, Fox had a big. Do you remember under the arches? They had a big studio down here, Fox Photos.
Scoresby Street, you say?
Scoresby Street, yes. And they used to do all the really big enlargements. And the story goes, they stopped the enlargement while the trains went over there, because of course...
Well, they were up and the other. They must have had a good side take.
But that was off in Scoresby Street. Yeah, I remember that. Anybody who wanted really big stuff, all the advertising agents, for example, wanted backdrops and things like that. Studios wanted backdrops. That's where they used to go for them. And of course, Bert knew this area very well. I mean, this was as in his old stamping ground. He was in a ball around the corner.
Because that's why, in the early days of the 60s, Patrick Ward, do you know Patrick Ward for something? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know these sort of colour now, but he did a job. He took all the stills for that Melita film that was made over here.
Stanley Keeble.
Yeah, so we were getting all black and really good stuff, from he did all the stills, and I'll have to remember, I'm bloody sure I was me that time. I'm sure we did the bloody blow-ups for the blow-up, because Don was a photographer.
Yeah.
Don was a photographer. And we were making prints, and then we couldn't get them big enough, copying and copying and copying. Because when I saw the exhibition of the prints, they are from Copy now.
Oh, are they?
Well, you can tell,
Yeah.
But I loved them. I know and I'm sure we did the bloody prints in here. Right. You see in the film where he keeps trying to find this person in the bushes. Yeah. But we had some good photographers, a good interesting work,
We did, didn't we? Yeah. And as you say, I think we were quite one of the few there.
Well, downtown darkroom, obviously, we knew from fairly early on. They didn't set up till about 1971, so...
well, we were 61.
Well, I did 60.
It was in 57.
Yeah.
And we were a year over in Holton House before we even started looking for this place. And that's it, yeah, 58, probably about 60 when we...
I came here in 61. I know Gerry had been
after, yeah, Gerry.
Well, you say Bert set it up just for his own work originally, and then people started coming.
Because we had to get out of Holton House because Holton's had sold all the other magazines to Oddham's, and Oddham's said, out you go. And we were actually working from Holton House for a year after they closed down. Thanks to Lady Holton, that one.
But Gerry took the...
Gerry was doing all Bert's printing.
Yeah.
He was doing it through the darkroom over there.
Well, as I told the other woman, that was a ridiculous situation when I came out of the forces and went back because I had to take you back. Yeah. I ended up in the darkroom in Hope House.
Yeah.
And Bert was still there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was being paid by Holton Press to work in the darkroom. I wasn't doing any work of theirs. I was doing all Bert's.
Yeah.
The other printers, what's going on here? you know, there were two of us, me and Gerry, doing it. I mean, literally, I was some stuff for housework. No, I can't do that. My business. It was a ridiculous situation.
Very, very busy man. But when he first, because he was flavour of the month when he first went into advertising. I mean, they just couldn't get enough of him because there hadn't been anybody else out of that ilk, as you might say, not the photo reportage type stuff, who'd done, I say, right from the beginning. Don't forget, he started work for Page Fest in 41. Long time doing it. So it was...
and thinking of that darkroom in Holton House, manager was Bill Stacey, wasn't it? Was he no manager?
No.
Who was the manager? They used to sit downstairs in the office. Bill?
Well, he wasn't the manager, never, no.
Bill would have known Bert, wouldn't he, from the old...
Oh,
yeah.
Well, Bill used to work for Fox Photos. His son was a photographer there.
Yeah. Oh, who was the manager of that dark?
I can visualise, I can't remember the name. Yes, you
Not the one who went to CRI?
No, but it was, wasn't it Jack Garnham at one time?
But he was in the other darkroom, wasn't he? He never came over to the Holton.
No, he didn't, no. But after the darkroom closed there...
Oh, yeah, I think...
Because Edith went up to... Edith Kay who used to run the darkroom, right from the word go till it finished. She went and set up her own place up Grading Road. Edith Kay, did you ever hear of her?
Was it called Kay Laboratories?
No, Kay is quite, because it's a big laboratory. She set up her own little darkroom. She only had one printer, so it was a very small concern.
What did she used to work for almost exclusively? Was it Lord Snowden?
She could have done.
She had a very few clients, but they were... And she was... I mean, she was... You just have to say, well, she trained all of you, didn't she?
Well... Read that out. I mean, she was, as I said, the other lot. If she liked you, you're all right. Yeah. But if she didn't, she was a terror.
Well, she was German. She'd been trained by Leitz in Wetzlar before the war. She'd been sent back by a Zionist to learn how, and then she went to work for Wallace Heaton.
Yeah, that's why you put lights and lounges in the darkroom here, then, I guess.
Very interesting about when you were kind of pitch past Holt Press, you start as a boy. You're a poster boy, so you're taking mail everywhere. And there's 3 different buildings, so you're going all... And that was a day when 18 you called up, so there's always gaps appearing, and as you come out of poster room, there were gaps appearing for juniors in all the other departments, advertising everywhere.
Yeah.
And because you're always looking, and because I used to deliver mail up to the darkroom to see all these prints being washed. God, it's fascinating. Because you came up and I had to be interviewed, and I was interviewed by Dick Kay. Now, how old was I? 15? 15 and a half? Why do you want to be a printer? So he's booked with that. Do you want to be a photographer? Now, if you'd have answered yes, she wouldn't have employed you. Because you said you can't do both. You can't be a photographer and a printer. Yeah. I have to say no. That was addictive. Pure luck. Pure luck.
Criteria. Well, she always used to maintain that you wanted to be a photographer, you spend your life wanting to get out the darkroom, which is not what she wanted. She wanted printers who wanted to be printers, and that was it. She's a very, very tough lady, but didn't come through a tough school, so there you go.
But if she liked you, if she liked you, she had to like me, that was it,
And she herself was very high standards, I mean, she was... Her darkroom was very clean, wasn't it? And
yeah, I mean, she was, again, silly things, when you're kind of 15, 16, I mean, I never had a camera, but your mates had a camera, so you you worked in a dark room, so they give it to you, so you develop it. I mean, you didn't know what you were doing, but you managed to get... And when all the friends were having tea in their tea room, you'd say, to Gerry, could I use you larger to make some little tiny 6/4s for me mates? Which I went in there and I scrambled through some prints and they came out in the wash. You looked at them and said, they're no good, go back. Weren't they for me mates? So they'd be well put, but nothing like it.
Yeah, keep the standard up, remember? Wasn't it? Yeah.
So Gerry sort of cooked this up with Bert then, that he was going to come out.
Bert realised he'd got to get a dark room. He knew that. I don't know that he'd already so much got to get a dark room, but he knew he could get an office because that was the office that we worked in. And then we got this place, and his brother came in and knocked him out. And then things evolved from there, because once he'd started evolving a dark room, word gets around and you find that some people say, well, here you've got a dark room. I mean, Alex Lowe heard we had a dark room. He came round.
But I think when this was open, Gerry had managed to get Holton, BBC and the library. He had to get all the work, didn't he, away from Holton to come in here. So he had a bulk of work.
The pub's going to close down anywhere over there, so they weren't going to be able to do it. So we stepped in and we got it here. So they used to send all the stuff here to me. But, I mean, that was our first big, what you might call bread and butter work. Kept us going, that and Bert's work. And then after that, other people came in, and you'd find the advertising agencies themselves would mention you around because they knew Bert had a dark room, so they themselves would say anybody else would take it down to Bert Hardy's place and they'll do it down there.
Because another thing in the Pitch Post dark room, because it closed when I was in the forces, but the 4 printers seemed to have the photographers. You with me? The photographers downstairs, they had nothing to do with the processing, but it was going to be printed, but they seemed to want their films to be printed by a certain printer, because the printer gets to know what the photographer is after, sort of thing. Although that wouldn't have worked, because they had to print very flat, didn't they?
Well, if you look at the photogravure, which is very flat because you need the detail in the shadows, and of course that's what gravure can do, pick them up. If you have it too contrasty, all you're going to do is get blacks and whites.
If he looked at a picture post print, if he could, that's not much good. Yeah, because in his printed for a certain...
so you saw what they were working from. It was all inclined to be flat, but it's done specially for that purpose.
Yeah, Sharon at our place has just started printing some of the country life stuff, very, very old stuff, and they wanted very flat, very restrained. Same reason.
Same reason, yes. Well, if you do pick up contrast and you start off with perhaps the vogue at the moment is perhaps for more contrast than ever, you're going to lose a lot of your detail. You can't avoid it. And no matter how good a printer you are, there's nothing you can't bring it back once it's gone. So. And of course, the other thing, we always used Sam's Developer, didn't we? Which was very fine grained.
But that's the one that was made specially. You said there was somebody used to make up his own formula.
That's to say,
he always supplied the darkroom with his own developers.
How did you spell his name with a Z? Z-A-N. Yeah, he had his own little workshops and he just produced photographic.
He was a chemist.
Chemicals.
I don't know how. I know.
He must have supplied many other darkrooms. We were just one of them.
And I think he was like so many that he probably came from Germany, probably Jewish, and they all.
Well, they all.
They all knew one another.
Yeah.
There's a great sort of, what should I say, a great number of very, very clever people came in.
And of course, being a one-man band, being Jewish, I guess, if Sunday you was stuck for development, you was working the weekend, and it'd be a Sunday. We deliver. You ring him, so we're shortly back to that. Right, I'll be there. Otherwise, most firms now have to wait till Monday night. He'd be there.
And it was by doing that sort of, what shall I call, special service that, created your base for customer relations and so forth. I mean, we still kept using him when we came here, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Well, because he was so reliable.
he was, absolutely. And his product was very reliable. We never got a duff lot or anything like that. You know, you always had a... And he worked for us specifically for the miniature, the 35mm market.
Yeah. It all seemed to start changing when the new papers came in, the resin-coated paper. It sort of changed the sort of pace of the whole printing business, I reckon. But to me, you carried on fibre-based for a bit longer than switch over.
Well, we used to, because we used to use kind of a single weight and glaze it for contracts and things like that, and for press bricks, 8/6s, and
We did.
we used to have to glaze them because then that resin coated came out, which was the glaze was brilliant. When I mean, all you're doing 4 minutes in the wash, 2 minutes in the fix. I mean, some brilliant. You didn't really need a dryer. You could just lay them out and they would dry naturally into a brilliant gloss. Now, I'm trying to think, Gerry died in 82. I don't think they were out in 82, were they, Munson?
Oh, yeah.
They were.
But I was printing in the 70s, you know.
And he was that.
The resin, the graded resin, it was just coming out that night, 74, 75.
I'm sure we had.
But it took a long time to get accepted, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure we never had it when Gerry was arming, but then I remember
I don't think we're having it. In fact, I've got a box of prints and I've got on the outside original Gerry printing, you know, just to sort of remind me, and there's no resin amongst it.
But I mean, the fibre was always 4X in it.
Always more of a craft, really, though, when you were working with fibre-based.
Because the original paper we used was Kodak. We used to use Kodak all the time.
Because Kodak was strongest in...
But yeah, and then suddenly they stopped. I can't remember when they stopped, and we moved to Ilford, you know.
Well, they Ilford came out with a much better product.
Yeah.
I think we raised, didn't they, as well, Ilford?
I think we actually stopped because Kodak stopped.
I think it was when Ilford Bron came out, and then
Yeah.
You know, Ilford Bron was nice, big range of grades, big range of contrast.
And the same with their film, of course. They brought out a whole range of film that Kodak didn't do. But I think Kodak was always much more interested in the amateur market, quite honest. It was a much more profitable market from their point of view.
Yeah. But they delivered in those days, didn't they? I mean,
it was ever red. It'd be like 3 or 4 months you come, and then over there we'll pull up and with all and they had, because Ilford had a place in Tottenham Street. Well, yeah, go down trade counters or think you really stuck. But
no, we're the trade counter now.
But we are, aren't you? Yeah.
So I keep telling them, but it sort of won't give us any extra credit for it.
It's amazing how things don't on this resin, which when we first started using it, I mean, it was magic. It's so quick, you know. You could do a lot of things with it, which you couldn't do with fibre. I mean, you could use up water a lot. As a fibre, it starts, if you're not careful, starts staining. Resin didn't. You know, so you could really have a go with resin. Oh, with magic. But I can remember when I was in the forces, we used to use a wax paper, which actually what resin is now.
It's called waterproof paper.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you left it too long, the bloody emulsion will flow up. But we used it for exercise. If somebody wanted to see a print immediately, we used to use this what we call wax paper. Yeah, understand. Which was a form of resin coat. You just use a dab blotting paper over it, and the PFIs will look at it straight away, like, you know.
Yeah, that was the early version of it. Yeah.
Do you remember our mail paper?
Yes.
My last beard. My bad. Never heard of it. I said, well, I can remember it.
No grey. No, it was just very thin.
Yeah, very, very thin. Yeah, like almost like tissue paper. Yeah. But then always puzzled me, well, why was it invented? Because paper was never
I reckon it was for storage, you know, when you've got archives, it just takes less space.
Unbelievable they would invent a paper for such a reason.
It must have been horrible stuff to process, though.
Well, I mean, you could, you had to do one at a time. You could put 2 or 3 in because so you get it, stick together, and then they were going to fold the iron. But we used to use that an awful lot.
I can remember when I very first went to work for the picture post. One of my jobs, because it was in the wall, one of my jobs every Friday night, I should go and have to sit in the dark room in the dark and count all. Mind you, there were a hell of a lot of grades of paper then. I mean, you say those grades now, people never heard of them. But they did have them, and every single box had to be checked. The number of sheets used against the number of sheets that were... Yeah, this was the customs. They used to come around.
Oh, the customs, customs used to come in, check. I went and look at the books, what had come in and what had gone out.
Or if there's days of purchase tax and stuff, was it?
No, before purchase tax.
Well, while we were here...
It was rationed in the war. Rationed. You could...
Yeah, but even here, Sheila, I can remember that customs coming here and going upstairs, and they wanted to see all receipts for paper you'd bought.
That's right.
And all the work that were going out. And then they'd allow some wastage. But so you avoid 500 sheets in and nothing was going out. When you didn't have it in stock. How's it gone?
Nowhere.
But why it was when they used to go upstairs.
There was something they were doing because during the war I can remember because we used to buy the film in tins. So many hundreds of feet. They used to load their own cassettes, photographers did. You didn't buy loaded cassettes because Ilford brought those out after the war. Kodak did, I believe. But they used to have these little cassettes, and they used to have a black bag, put their hands in with the tin of film and load it up. But the film was rationed in the war, and they were very, very careful about it because at one time they thought there was a scam going on in the magazine.
But why would it have been means here in the 60s, the old customs?
Well, I think it's probably something that just continued. They used to
disappear upstairs a door in and they had come all about something having to do with us, thing. It's just coming on, but...
That could have been to do with purchase tax when it first came in, because I think we were involved in that.
Because what's so funny then, we used to chuck our iPod down a bleeding drain. And then,
so do all your iPhone.
But then Bunker has in America tried to corner the market in silver, and everybody, because plaster silver does it, photographics, right? And everybody wanted your iPod because they keep it.
Well, that's when it all changed to it. They forced Ilford out the graphic arts market there.
They did,
yeah, they dropped all of their graphic arts materials after that. But
I didn't realise that.
They just, they couldn't afford to make them anymore. Yeah, the price of silver. They sold it.
But then all the stuff then came down back to normal.
Yeah, but the prices of materials have never come down. They just keep on going up.
But they never do come down, do they?
Nah.
You look around, the prices always seem to go up. Very so. That is including, the more prevalent prices like oil and stuff like that. It never seems to come down. No such thing as cheap oil. But
there are some funny stories.
Well, good. The digital is going to just sort of completely revolutionise the whole situation, isn't it?
Well, you just wonder how much more time there is. But to tell you something you probably haven't heard, Ilford had just bought Kentmere.
Oh,
they announced it last week.
They?
On Monday, they said...
It was an independent company.
Well, Kentmere was set up in 1907, so it's actually the centenary of the year.
Because they were all with very good papers, the Kentmere rate.
Yeah, there were always some, sort of cheap and cheerful, as it were, but professional, but not very flashy about it. And... No, they've resisted takeovers for a century, Finally.
They to come.
Yeah.
But it's amazing for Ilford because they almost collapsed, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, I said, man, if we bought them out...
I reckon what might be behind it is, they've got this site in Mobley and it's very close to Manchester Airport, probably worth an awful lot of money now. And, they sold it off to the developers. They did a sort of deal, so they got a lease on the land that the factory's on. But it's going to run out at some point. And if they got the Kentmere site, so they just moved there. Yeah, they can start moving over to
Where is Kentmere?
It's just outside the Lake District. It's it's not by the National Park.
Yeah, but the name Kentmere almost says it must be up that way.
Yeah, it's up Kentmere Valley.
Kendal area.
Yeah, you drive past it when you're on your
South Lakes. 28.
Before you get into the mist.
Sort of Southern Cumbria.
Yeah. So, yeah, so, across the thread of it.
He's dried up. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you were one of the first labs to start out, and you're virtually one of the last. We're still standing, so.
You have to say, if there'd been any way that we could have continued, I would have liked to have done, but there was no way, because you see, so much has been done in-house now. And those are the only people that would probably use a darkroom like this. And there's so few people using the miniature films anymore.
And also, Sheila, you got to remember, I mean, right, there's very few what I would call youngsters, you're talking youngsters, who want to be a printer, doing this sort of printing. You with me? They've loved to sit in the screen and change
Yes,
it.
yeah.
You know, and I put something there, that's great, because they're used to that. But using an enlarger, I don't know where they're trained, you know, sort of thing.
What does a College of Printing do? Do they still train them, don't they?
It still is a sort of small part of the course, I think, but it's not seen as being a trade anymore.
No.
Well, that's the only reason we're carrying on, is because we've got Sharon who was taught by Mark Spry. She was taught, because she was never interested in photography, but it's like you say, you know, she was taught to do it in a certain way, and she can still do that. And that's what, you know, that she sees it as a trade.
Well, that's the best way it is from a good printer to take, just stand and watch, you know, so learn. So, I mean, when Gerry died and we had to get another printer, we were lucky, very, very lucky. After about 3 tries, you know, we had to hit Paul Knight's.
Yeah, and he was a good printer.
Who turned out to be natural. Just a natural, but he was always interested in photography, whether
that was a big...
Ever since he was 13, so we bet...
Always wanted to be a photographer.
But he was a natural printer. To some of the others that, they've been trained, you know what I mean? One of them come in the RAF. That's right, he was useless. Yeah, but God knows what they had him doing in there.
But I'm trying to remember some of the other names here, because
What do you mean?
Didn't you have working here? Yeah, there was, oh gosh, somebody who still comes into us who used to work here quite a bit. God, what's his name?
Well, not Geoff Howard. I mean, no.
Ernie
Eric Sykes. What's his name? The Sykes. However Sykes.
Well, I mean, printers he had here.
Printers.
Yeah. Homer was coming here for a long time, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, Homer would be about a generation of Homer Sykes, Patrick Wald.
Yeah, he was in
the 60s sort of era sort of thing, like, you know.
And of course, you had the LCP down the road, so that would be quite a strong connection, wouldn't it? That's probably why you had the young photographers. Because
they also know each other sort of thing, you know. Once, oh, that's a nice print. Where'd you get that? And then they say, oh, yeah.
Well, that was how Edith got her job with the picture first, wasn't it? Because
I'd never heard that story. That's a good...
The gentleman, what was his name?
Stefan Lorraine.
No, the one who worked for the Israeli government, the Zionist.
Oh, Gadil.
No, yes, Digger. He had a set of prints done by Edith, and he took them in to Laurent, who was the first editor and founder, more or less, of the picture. And he looked at them and he said, I can't use the pictures, just tell me who did the printing. And it was Edith. Now, Edith was working for Wallace Heaton. She had been sent back by Wallace Heaton because he was just beginning to sell 35mm cameras before. So he sent her back to Germany to Leitz, and they trained her to print 35mm and to develop. Then he took her back again with a view to opening up his 35mm, instead of which along goes Stefan Lorraine and says, fine, get that printer to come and see me, and she did. And he said to her, right, will you run my darkroom? And she did. And that was how she ran it, right from the word go to the time it finished, the whole way through. Nobody else ran it at all except her. But interestingly enough, It was that sort of connection that because of that needed above all else for his 35mm photographers that he'd already got, he needed a good printer and he needed a good darkroom. So he set it up, and it just went on and on. That was how she came to be there. She also had the wife of Hutton, Kurt Hutton. His wife was a printer, Gerty.
Good at Deutsch, yeah.
No, Gretel Schubschmer.
Oh, no.
Gerty-
Sorry.
No, Gretel was a very good printer. She printed her husband's work when he was in Germany before the war. And she came and she was Edith's assistant for a long time.
Yeah, she did that uniform.
Yeah, it was tall, very, very charming woman. But that was the pair of them ran the darkroom during the war. I mean, you know, that was their little fiefdom up there. And, I mean, nobody except Gretel always printed Kurt's work, and Edith always printed Bound's work. And a more difficult man you couldn't possibly imagine. Oh, an impossible man, but there are.
Well, it was almost like a little club because they were roughly in kind of the Nazis in the early 30s, weren't they?
Yeah. Well,
because even me, at a young age, I am in the print. But Fleet Street was Fleet Street. You tend to know other printers because there's not a lot of you, wasn't there? It's not a club, but you tend to know other printers and you tend to know photographers sort of thing, you know. What are they? They're just photographers, sort of. They're not gonna gods, you know.
You will you read the lovely story of Bert's book, but I briefly tell you about the early days in Fleet Street, because that was how he started. He had his own little agency, but they used to go to the Derby or wherever, take a picture, plate camera stuff, glassneck and use.
No.
And they were all trying to get the big paper. That was the use, the Star and the Standard, the 3 paper. So he goes, a quite common sight apparently to be seen is on Derby Day you would see people running up Fleet Street with their prints, a light, does they washed them with mess? Okay, printed them wet on a horizontal enlarger, blast plate, printed them wet, didn't bother to wash the print, wiped it over with mess, ran up Fleet Street to the picture editor's desk and they tried to get there first. Who would donk it over? Well, they got the picture. And that was it, the winner of the Derby, or whoever it was. I mean, the competition was fierce. But it always amused me when I think of this sight. It must have been, people must have thought they were all right, running along with burning.
Well, Fleet Street was Fleet Street. Everybody was mad. So I didn't think there'd be any difference.
It's wonderful. And there were one or two absolutely cracking stories like that of very, very early press photography. And they all stood in Downing Street to take the picture of the Prime Minister, you see, and they're all big, heavy press cameras on tripods.
Yeah.
So all that, and one flash gun, powder.
And one plate, I suppose.
One plate.
So
somebody would shout, caps off, and they'd all take the caps off. He'd stand there, bang would go the gun, everybody would get a picture, and that was it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bert was one of the first to really start using 35mm.
Oh, yeah.
For a gal.
Yeah.
And it'd be a big advantage.
Well, it did enable him to do a couple of things. It enabled him to, as he heard, earn £5 a week as a Fleet Street photographer, but also enabled him to take little sequences. And I've got a cutting at home I think it's in the book, in the Mirror, of I think it was an actor on the telephone, but for a little sequence of him on the telephone, he used in the Daily Mirror.
Yeah.
And it was very, very first little sequences of pictures that was used. That was such a bad one.
And that helped to sort of define...
Well, don't forget, it all really started in Germany. Yeah. That was where it really started. The first, Leica. I think Edith, when she went back, they gave her a little black Leica in Germany.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, Bert, when he bought his Leicas, he used to buy them straight from Lights and have and check the lenses to see how good they were. and they weren't all as good as one another, as you can imagine. Mm-hmm. But they used to throw them up very large, didn't they? And look at the brain.
Yeah. So R.G. Lewis, he made a big thing about that, didn't they? And they had tested all the lenses.
Yeah.
I don't believe them, but...
Yeah.
Well, I was that, like as a rod, so they test 1 out of, 1 out of 8 or something like that. But I suppose you could say, like, I want that.
That's right.
I'm not set to know what it's after, so.
Well, so many weren't absolutely critical.
Mm.
They were a bit soft, and it shows. After a while, you just sort of say, not good, not so good, or perhaps it'd been banged or something. You never know. But there you go. Now, what else can we talk about?
Cool. Well, I think we've probably got enough there.
Yeah.
A bit of editing.
Don't edit makes a sick sort.
I said you're probably going to transcribe it.
Yeah.
So we did this for that book we did about 10 years ago, and it's hard to remember. There's we interviewed different people for this book on emotion techniques.
Right, yeah.
And it's hard work.
Did you, did actually people come into your place and actually, I can say mad canavages trying that sort of thing, but did you actually sell the...
the emotion.
Yeah, the emotion.
Yeah, this would have been one of our best line rooms. Well, it was a sort of novelty product when we started out, and then we thought, well, we could do something more with this, and we've got loads of artists using it. So it's actually being used by scenery. Yeah. It's dropped off a bit, since digital came in, and there's less.
Because in photography, there's fashions, isn't there? I mean, you also have to tell nice work by can't stand his printing long dead now. Bill Bragg.
Oh, yeah. Brand, yeah.
Some of the books I've seen, I thought, must be, it's a lovely shot, but bloody hell, they're a coal mining. And then you get the youngsters, they only print on 4 now, and she only pay what 8. Or if it's multi-grade, it's always stuck on 4 or 5. Nobody ever comes down below that because that's the fashion sort of thing.
Yeah, Milford Bond Grade 5 came out,
And I then noticed in magazines, Bailey must have started this, he'd shoot it on 2 1/4 square, and when they reproduce, instead of make a nice sharp border, they leave the bloody edge all jaggedy round up. And then it helps to fit it. It's fashion sort of thing.
It is a fashion, yeah.
And then key lines, we just call it black border sort of thing, that suddenly got fashionable.
But then go back a long time to Beaton, and he always used self-focus on all his actresses because he said it was much more flattering than... otherwise you've got to retouch the lines out. But, it's... And that was fashion.
I think we were talking when I seen some of the things we used to get from the Home, 10/8 film negs taken by people like him. To retouch him is unbelievable, Some woman must have sat there for hours, especially a film star. When you print, not that you can get rid of all the wrinkles off, but that was done purely on the retouching.
And they did it next.
Yeah, on that.
It was an art in itself, retouching negs, great big negs. An art in itself, yeah. Yes, you could see it on the prints. But Brand used to actually draw on his pictures.
Yeah, I've seen 1 or 2 of his prints. I would believe that.
And then he'd copy them and print from only the copy. Because he'd retouched it, or he'd emphasised lines or whatever it is he was doing. It's hard to believe, isn't it? But yes.
Well, I remember the famous story, true, and when Ilford started their Print of the Year award, I think the first one to win, or one of the first ones to win, what was his name? The Express printer. Bartley? Ladder the Bone. Mother Teresa, shot on Mother Teresa with her scarf on, and it won. We were told later it was the eyes that won it. But when he printed it, he held the eyes completely back and then painted the eyes in because the eyes were there. They were under a shadow, a sunny shadow on her head. And he thought, that ain't really... kosher, is it? I said, but it was a lovely image when he'd finished with it, because he'd painted the eyes in or retouched the eyes in, sort of thing. That's what we heard a bit.
I don't know where to draw the line, isn't it? There's the American Gene Smith. He did a picture story in a Spanish village, and one of the best shots was some woman looking at her dead husband or something, and she was looking the wrong way. So he took the eyes and redid it looking the right way.
Well, yeah. But before digital sort of thing.
And they laugh. They shouldn't really be altered, but they've been doing it for years. I wouldn't like to think of how much being altered.
Yeah, but it was crude in them days, Sheila. I noticed that on sports pages, of a Sunday, or you'd see a goal. But you knew the ball, that wasn't the ball, because it was so crudely done. You could see in the bloke that stuck it down. But digitally there, you wouldn't notice it.
Nothing's new, eh? Nothing's new. And you should know that if I were all Aaron and them,
No, it's just the tools that he used to do it that changed from...
Yes, it is only that, isn't it? I mean, it's like the whole thing about photography is the tools that have changed, the means of taking the picture. Mind you, it always makes me laugh because everybody has the facility for taking a picture, but still don't see that many great pictures. Not what I call stunning shots.
Yeah.
And nice pictures, I'm not disputing, and lots and lots of winners and award winners and things like that. But you've still got to say, I wonder how won the award. Will they ever be seen again?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what the programme does. They're going to do a programme of, what is it? The Story of Photography.
Oh, that game?
Oh, I think it was nude. It's starting sometime this week. It is, isn't it? Sure, yeah, something.
One of the Sunday magazines is doing a photography since a handbook.
Yes, this is the history of photography. It got a name like that. Yes, it's the something of photography. Yeah.
But don't you think some photographers, and the typical case was one that came in here, some photographers have got a natural eye, and the one I can remember, Sally So.
Yeah.
When she first came in here, she didn't know one end of the camera for another. We had to tell her out. She was a bored housewife who got a camera. Right? And literally, it was like teaching her how to load the film, what an exposure was and everything.
Yeah.
But she had, when she became proficient with the camera, when she pointed at the camera, she seemed to know the picture. But it must have been just pure, in herself, right,
Do you ever get people like Jill Furmanovsky? Does she ever give you any work?
The only Oski. The only foreign one is the Dried Crackers.
Yeah, of course, was he?
Marketa Listakova.
Oh, yeah.
Well done.
He used to drive as potty.
Good photographer, smashing stone. My God. Dear me. What a difficult person to feed, bro.
I think they're getting worse, actually. I mean, we've got a right collection that Sharon deals with, and everybody's staying with tradition. They're all a bit weird. No,
but I mean, I think Gerry summed it up when a typical case I think I told it. He was a very good printer, Gerry, very, very good. And a Magna photographer came in. We knew most of them. He came in and he wanted a 2016 print made. And Gerry made it. And he came in a couple of days later and there it was laying out, perfect, beautiful print. He looked at it and he said, yes, smash. He said, but, that corner down there, he said, he said, no, it's too light. He's taking your eye, Gerry said, right, he said, I'll print it again for you. And out it went. We read it a couple of days. Gerry stuck it on the shelf and left it. He goes, no, he said, I'm not going to print it out. The shelf, I'm going to give it back, back again. And Gerry said, the photographer wants to be in charge. I'm the one, and you do what I say. So we came in, same print. That's a lot better, isn't it? We had to kind of be like, more. But it's just the photographer making his point. But it was exactly the same print, But he was just trying to make his
sub-power thing, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just like you wanted to room decorate and then you say in a paint, you fist him. You can make it.
And it always amused confused me, you know, when people say, and Bert sort of, was he allowed to cut his pictures for the magazine? And I thought to myself, I can't see the outsiders remember allowing a photographer near the layout. I mean, that was it. He laid it out according to how he thought he should be laid out. Blow the photographer if he didn't take the right.
I want the cropping, because some photograpers don't know this.
No,
cropped.
some of them would say, I don't allow my picture to be cropped. And I thought, oh, dear, you never worked for the magazine. Sure, because there's no layout editor would ever allow a photographer to come in and say, well, you can't do that or you can't do this. He'd just say, well, if I want to do it, I do it. And I mean, half the sort of, if you left it to the photographer, you have to be honest, they will put into the layout all the pictures that were difficult to take, not necessarily the best pictures. You know, they look at, I had to do this, or, you know, they wouldn't. That's it.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily look at the result. They've got a picture, but they don't look at the result and say, well, was it worth it? A lot of it is realised that.
No, it's, you know, you've got to have an editor for that.
You have to. You've got to have a fresh pair of eyes. You've got to have somebody who has got to sort of make sense of what you've done. You've got to give him lots of material to work from, but...
Classic example to the boys in the Gorbals. Everybody said, oh, I thought that was published. Then up it.
No.
Troy. And it was published. Then it's...
Never even published.
Yeah.
But the classic example there was Bill Brand went to do that story first of all, Gorbals, and when he came back, and Bill was mega photographer, beautifully composed a scene and everything, long shots down streets in the Gorbals tenement, built policemen in the foreground, you know, very much lawless area. The cops got to keep an eye on it. And he told me, looked at the pictures and said, don't really think so. He hasn't got a common touch. What we need is somebody with a common touch. So he said to Bert, you go up and take the pictures. And the journalist was Bert Lloyd, who was a member of the Communist Party. Now, the Gorbals was almost communist to a T, all the tenements, you know. And so they went up there, and the first page of the story was published. Bill Brandt's picture of the policeman looking down the street, introductory page. Next, Bert Hardy. Interesting, because Bill could do that, what you might call the senior side of life. He could pose it up and make things look as if they're the underclass, but he couldn't take the little kids sitting in the filthy sink and the drunken man asleep on the bed with all the, you know, the wallpaper peeling off and stuff like that. He couldn't, I don't think he could bring himself to even go into the places, but that was, you know, the difference between photographers. But after all, he'd be brought up down the corner in buildings, in, you know, canals. Just the same sort of thing. So nothing new to him.
Yeah, that's the one.
No, let's go on. I'll go find. I said to Tom one day, why didn't you use that picture? And he said to me, it didn't suit the layout. There you go.
Yeah. Turn it over. There's the...
Yeah.
It doesn't suit the layout. And people don't believe that the magazine I've got it at home I haven't got that picture enough. No. And the interesting thing is how...
Be able to get pictures like that.
Yeah. But that's Eltham Castle. That's just down the road. That's not the Gorbals. And she was a prostitute. But, you know, there you are. You have to say Bill Brandt was far too posh to be able to get pictures like that.
That was the other photographer that I've read. One called Marlowe. He did a story on a street, Chelsea, kind of slums, Chelsea, Marlowe. And it was the same sort of thing Bert might have done, but they said he didn't succeed because he just didn't. They would write him a cup of tea and he wouldn't go. You know, the kids are like, you know, just didn't want to know him sort of thing. He took nice pictures, but he just didn't work because he was a bit aloof from this.
Yeah,
loving Keeble.
Brandt a bit.
Yeah.
Brandt suffered from extraordinary shyness. That was his biggest thing. He couldn't do it because he was too shy to go in, not because he was aloof, but he was real.
You're behind a camera, really. I mean, a lot of photographers say that you're not.
And I tell you the other thing about Bill, he was terribly conscious of the fact he had a German accent. and he spoke in a tiny little whisper. That was how he spoke. Yeah, very, very strange man. But that, you know, Tom thought very highly of him and thought he was a brilliant photographer, but in the right circumstances.
Yeah.
He didn't emphasise as a poor, that was for sure. But here you go.
No, he was an artist.
Yes, I think you're right. I think that, and as Godfrey Hopkins is the same. Godfrey's still going strong. And what does he do these days? Only paints. Doesn't paint pictures, just paints. And I can't say that I think he's a great painter, but he thinks that's his medium.
Now, a lot of another girls, David Bowie paints in his spare time.
Does he?
Yeah, I went around there once, and we wanted to see him for something. David's painting at the moment, so can't be still the muse.
And they don't. Some of them, because, Can't Get Breath Up really started out as a drawer more than
the last years of his life, he never painted at all. And then he never photographed at all, just painting. Yes. And at one time he used to do lots of drawings as well. But,
There's one we work for.
yes, that's true. Yeah.
1977, Jubilee year.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this thing's just about running out of tape, as it were. So,
You've been taping this?
yeah.
That's right. That's all right. There's nothing in there that isn't not repeatable.
Well, no, I only say that because out of all the events, something in this book about Edith Kay?
Yeah.
And she'd rang it also, not true?
There is a story there, yeah. She's very vehement that it wasn't true. He's very vehement that it was true.
Prince Philip?
Yeah, on an art story on a cabaret tale, but he'd take pictures of the garden of dancing with Prince Philip. And they were, I don't know, I never saw them, but all Bert said was that they were just had to be destroyed. and Edith said, nothing was ever destroyed in my dark room, but in actual fact, Bert said, yeah, it was. Yes, it was. It was never shown. Yeah. And he's the only person who could verify, because there were no other photographers allowed into this particular thing. It was some sort of charity doing. We got the exclusive on it. He was the only photographer there. So it was Edith again. But she was not in that dark room. Nobody ever destroyed a negative if I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. You're saying that the third just sort of more or less gave up quite quickly, that he'd sort of worked himself out and just wanted to retire.
Yes. Don't forget, he, as I said, he was very much flavours the month. He was he was a very fast worker. You know, he could go in and do a story and 5 film. That was average, I'd say, for him for a story. He always reckoned that if you're going to do anything, if you're going into a new situation, if you're going to do anything, you're going to see it all at the very first time you're going around, when you're walking around. Then you can go back and build it up. But it's that first introduction to it, the first impressions you get that actually make your pictures in your mind. And so that's the way he worked. He was able to do a lot in the time he had. When he was in advertising, he sometimes did 2 jobs in a day, sometimes 3 jobs in a day. And I don't mean great big jobs, but okay, they all brought money in. But that did mean that if you're being as creative as you can be, for different art directors who are all depending on you to get the customer to pay for it, which is the object of the exercise, after such intense work, he just felt, as he said, wrung out. And he needed to stop, and then he didn't want to do it again. He found it very intensive, and he just, and I think also that, there were perhaps other slight interests in his life that were taking over. And his real forte was the magazine. I mean, I've got one issue at home, and there were 5 stories in the one issue by him. I don't think anybody ever had 5 stories in one issue. They weren't all sort of 7 pages or anything like that, but, you know, that was quite something. And they weren't all done the same week or anything like that, but he was very, very exhausted when when things began to ease off us. He said, and he didn't do anything about it. He said he didn't go out looking for work. And it's like with everything in advertising, you can be flavour of the month for a while. You know, as with all advertising, you fight hard to retain a place if you got a star and so forth. So yes, he did. He felt absolutely. That was why he let this become self. It was a commercial proposition in its own right. Then, when he dropped out of it, he didn't have any regrets at all about it. He just left it to Gerry to sort of take it over and make it what he would. And I mean, he knew it was off to a good start. He didn't have any doubts on that score. But no, I think he. And don't forget, in his days when he was working photography, he travelled. You've never saw anything like the travelling he did.
So when did he retire again?
There's no definite thing, but I would say he went on from the magazine closed in 1952. He went on for about 12 years. That would bring him up to late 60s, early 70s. About that time. Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, I think perhaps he may have still continued briefly till the late 70s, because he did just stand quite late. But he didn't want to know after a while. And, you know, it's like everything. The thing about advertising is they're always looking for fresh ideas. You know, styles have got to change. Everything's got to change. I mean, it's recycled a lot of it. But a lot of it, and therefore the people who are supplying these ideas and everything, they really do, you know, they'll pay you the top, but they expect absolutely original thinking all the way through. And that's the whole point. If you're going to spend thousands of pounds on putting an advert in a paper, and you're going to have something worth putting in the paper, you've got to have somebody who will produce the ideas. So it's a sort of, it sort of feeds on itself almost. You've got to pay. And they're paying very good prices. Very good price. What did he? You read the book. You'll see. He cleared one year. He cleared 25,000 quid. That wasn't bad. No, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, and
It's.
Does the plates still exist for the book? You know, if it was
They don't. I can tell you that they don't, because I was talking just the other day to the man who printed that book. And
what was it plates doing that book about? What book were they from? There were some great big plates absolutely. It was a film, wasn't it? It was kind of a medley sort of you remember? Well, it's 1984, so it'd be on film. Film, is it? Yeah, it wouldn't be the actual plate.
I think it was on glass, and I could have done it for you longer. Yeah. No, I think in fact I mean, somebody said to me only the other day, have you ever thought of reprinting it? And because what do they call it? What's the word the printers use when they've got all the things laid out, the pages laid out? What do they call that? Got a name. Not the compositionist. It's got an actual technical name. But I said no, I don't have them. But I have the copyright of the book, but I don't have all the pictures would have to be, what should we say, they're all the copyright, 90% of the copyright of the Holton. Yeah. Some of them early stuff is Bert's.
Yes, a big job to put it all together again.
It would.
How about the edition, the book before that?
Yes, it was, the Arts Council did a book.
Is that Arts Council?
Yeah, they did 4 books, and Bert was amongst them. And they did, with a preface by Tom Hodkinson in Bert's case. And they did a much smaller book, but it was, I think it had the 2 boys on the front cover. It did, didn't it? Yes. Had the 2 boys on the cover.
Back on it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Read that great interest. Cool.
I was going to say, are you a toast? Well, you were supposed to give a lifetime, aren't you? All in the space of an hour or whatever it is. But do you think you've got it on?
I think we'll.
Always come back and read the book, and don't there are any questions from that.
Right. Well, how'd you get away or whatever you do?
Well, we're going round to have a bit of lunch, aren't we? Can we still get... Well, where? It's on. Just got 2. There.
I'd have it. Love.
Where you go round the fig bread?
But they always don't.
How much big is it?
The cost one, I cut the row.
Oh, like it. I like that fig bread.
Or what your master's one?
Masters or the live bait? Oh.
I'm very fond of
Has he ever seen it just to that one, the pub, what's that called? Anchor and Hope.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Get some light-ups, everything, not by the standard, sort of thing, and where they do the fruit. It always appears, if you can't book it up, then you... No, it's got they say pop up. I mean...
Is it called a citrus bar? Oh, was it changed? Oh, it's called the Anchor and Hope.
Yeah, it's down the front. It used to be an old...
Charles went down, so you ought to go in there. And then they changed it to Bar Citrus or Citrus Bar. I think they changed it back to Anchor and Hope.
I know what this is all about. She knows I'm going out. Leave her here, but she's got some more dinner upstairs. Oh, cupboard there. Well, if I can do anything awful, you let me know.
Yeah, well, we'll keep in touch. I've still got to sort out the food.
I tried to speak to Brian Doherty.
Yeah.
I couldn't get hold of him. But I wanted to ask him to make his mind up about the enlarger, because I've said to him, I will tell you of what happens, but do you want my advice? If you can sell them. I wouldn't bother about Brian. I think if he was going to show interest in them, he would.
Yeah, well,
sell anything you can.
Yeah.
You have my permission to do so.
Okay.
Witness that.
Right. So I left it for you going.
No, I'm sure you're right to get rid of it. And if there is anybody out there who wants it, then by all means do so.
Well, I think one of them could very well go upstairs. I don't know, Sharon will use it, but it'd be nice to keep one of them, I think.
And take the dress one, because there's one better than the other, isn't there?
Well, one of them's earlier. I mean, I think one of them is in 1961.
Is it?
And the other one was called 1972. So, but they're basically the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the earlier one looks nice, I thought.
Yeah, the earlier one.
I was going to say, yes, it has. Yes, you're quite right. It looks. I don't know which one Charlie used. I think he used the later one, didn't he?
Anyway, I'll give them a good clean that.
They look
Of course, a green verdigris on the column, and
right, very good.
That damn place all the time.
And that's what happens. You see, this place, because it had lost its reason for being here, we didn't do anything to it. And if we'd done anything, we'd have had to spend a lot of money on it. But other than going decent for digital printing, I couldn't put what we were going to do.
Well, it's not really possible.
No,
you have to throw so much money at it, and then you have to keep on throwing more and more money. Yeah. It's not separate as obsolete to Quifford.
It's all being updated all the time, isn't it? Well, they've got to keep producing those things in order to get the market, but it's onto a roller coaster.
No, I mean, we follow the same route at our place. We just got Sharon, and she's got enough work to keep her busy, but there's no way forward really, unless if you got another printer, the other printer would have to bring their own clients in, and then again they just about cover their own wages. So.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? I mean, beyond a certain point, it's not commercially viable at all.
Well, not since the film just appeared now. Nah.
You never know, these old photographers, I mean, they got their own necks, slot picture, and then they can sell them, so they want them hand printed on $5 a piece.
But who's going to do it, Charlie? In all honesty,
Well, it is amazing, Sheila. I mean, people actually buy photographs, don't they?
Oh yeah,
And they spend an awful lot of money on some, you know.
they do. I know because I sell signed copies of Bert's prints at a photographer's gallery, and they pay quite a lot of money for it. I tell you what, they do pay a lot of money for vintage prints. That seems to be where the money market is.
So, yeah.
So they've got to be printed at the time they were taken, more or less. And I've got a few.
There's going to be a market for negatives soon, isn't it? If some photographer's got a famous image,
Well, I tell you,
they're still selling prints, so they're not.
what's going to happen, I say,
Really hasn't so far, is it?
no, I mean, they're only going to find out about the digital side of things after, 50 years? Nobody knows, do they, what's going to happen and whether, in fact, you're going to be able to put your store on it, whether you're going to be able to even recall it.
Well, that's the thing. The formats and the storage stuff keep changing every year or two. And you can't read the earlier stuff. And you certainly can't hold it up to the light and see you've got an image there. So...
Well, the Imperial Museum's been digitalising their collection, you know. And the girl who's doing it, she frankly admits I don't know how many they've done. They've got millions of negatives around there. But she says they don't even know if they're going to be able to look at them.
Yeah. I think somebody told me about one of the police forces that put everything onto laser discs, the 12-inch rods. And of course, they're totally obsolete now. You can't.
But they can't back for me.
I suppose you can keep on buying old modern, try and keep them working, but there's no, it's moved on.
It's not going to happen. Whereas with NICs, you see, you could still print them digitally.
Yeah, but you remember talking to that out bloke that they got employed there who somehow saves old negatives.
Oh, yeah.
And because they have to decide which ones. I mean, the way he works, he can't do them all. So some have got to just be left, and they are slowly deteriorating, something. Because when you think, in a way, Martin, that picture pose, sometimes they wanted the pictures downstairs, so nobody's looking at archival yet. They had the least of the washing you could give them. They were wrapped up and put in the tin. Nobody's thinking, these are important. They were 100 years' time. Nobody's thinking that way. So them negatives are going. He was talking about your two boys. That is going. Yeah.
I'm not.
So what does he do? Does he save that and,
Well, that's a big what question, isn't it? Which one? Well, they say, these are iconic images, but you just said the same. Well, so, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I do know this place is not going to be the same.